and they bought the house and they had to yank it out. And then they had to redo the whole, I mean, it was big to do.
Are
They
they gonna
spent
get their
like,
money back at least, or?
I'm gonna make
He's
sure
just
they
gonna
get
do the quick little monthly meeting at 10, and then he's doing
This
contracts
house
and
is-
negotiations in today's market after.
I've already got buyers.
Yeah. A little bit
You
about.
already have the buyers?
I already have buyers. It's gonna be nuts. But I gotta go through the ritual because they wanna go through this bidding war thing,
Yeah.
which is what's gonna happen. That's what they want. And I'm like, all right, fine, we'll do it. But I have these cash buyers sitting right here, ready to roll.
Hopefully they, hopefully they don't get too crazy with the, or at least your buyers are cash.
Yeah, mine are cash. I know the appraisal's for them.
Hmm?
There's no appraisal on it.
No, perfect.
Listen,
Yeah.
your ears,
You can get away with that.
Yeah,
your eyes.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hello.
and I've already queued them up. Whatever you buy, forget about the appraisal, forget about anything. It is what it is.
I killed my other bag.
We
I
just
know,
went
I'm the
over,
only
I just
one
went
where
over, just put an offer in $100,000 over asking on a 900.
100,000. Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, didn't get it.
You didn't get it. Holy shit.
965, we put in, we went 1.063.
Gee whiz.
Didn't get it.
Didn't get it.
How many offers did they get?
In Palm Harbor at Arbors.
The Arbors.
Yeah, they went with a pretty much a cash deal. No fine.
Right.
They're fine. No finance contingency buyers out of California.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
first time I ever wrote the offer at a bar. Computer on my lap outside of the patio.
It worked.
Is that your purse? No, it's-
No, there's a
It's
seat.
Amanda's.
Amanda's.
This one's taken too. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
He's kidding me.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
We're looking at the ceiling.
My face is on there.
Well, that's true. That's true, Dustin.
I mean, look, see,
That's right.
I get to be Diana today and tell you about wire transfers
Oh, nice.
Hey, yes.
from the desk of Diana Brashear.
Drug sales.
She's,
So,
she's jammed, isn't she?
yes, she had spillover closings.
Oh, wow.
She
Jane has
never
a closing with her
applied.
today. It was scheduled
She
anyways,
said she
so,
wanted me to
you
fly
know,
back and forth to
Wow.
another day in the life.
Yeah, I just checked it with
There, look, we
late
got
last week.
faces and everything.
Same.
Look at his.
Yeah.
She told me to fly back and forth to Frank.
Yes.
And I set myself a reminder. So
I'm
we know
gonna
in
check
4
it.
weeks
Yeah.
is.
area, and she comes and does tour time over in Dunedin.
So she didn't get old.
Yeah.
No, but I would assume she's close to my age. 'Cause she just sounded like she was close to
Yeah, I
my
think
age.
she's probably late 20s.
Kirsten's a new agent.
She's too old. I'm trying to set her up with Anthony Sorelli.
You said she's too old for him?
Yeah.
How old is he?
And that's like the only time I see her. And she was kind of sit like where Dan was.
I mean, that's not too bad.
No,
Couple
yeah.
years.
She has that hockey player wife love tour.
If I was single, I would date younger, date a hockey player. So, sorry.
Still got time.
Yeah, I know. She's tossing herself out here. What?
That's why the long engagement, right?
Just in case. I thought that was one of my guy friends. He was like, you gave him a really long time to back out. Or to change his mind or something like that. I was like, he's not changing.
They seem high. Like the ones that I see, I'm like, how is that even a good deal?
That's a good test for a lifetime.
Agreed. He's already been tested. We dated in high school and then broke up for a long time.
Oh,
Get me back
How are you?
multiple times.
Doing good, thank you. Sorry. I'm back. Is this going? All right, let me just get a buzz. Hi, Karen.
hey, Tony.
He's like, hey,
He's not going anywhere.
guys, I had a certain deal. Some, I get a few that.
Yeah, I know.
It's like when I made the decision, what an idea, it's like this.
You know what? I got that one
Like, you
yesterday.
only have to spend at most a month and a half.
All right. Sorry to keep everybody waiting. I apologize. If you really want to know why, I'll tell you. You might not be happy.
Uh-oh.
So the only band that I've ever, like, the only band that I want to see that I've never seen is Genesis. And they stopped touring for decades, right? Well, they had just announced like 5 days ago that they were doing a US tour, right? In select locations. So it was like you had you had to be verified a week ago, hope you got a code, and then you got to be on at 10 o'clock or you weren't getting them. So
Did you get them?
I got two.
Where?
Charlotte.
Oh, so you have to go to Charlotte?
Yeah, they're not playing. That's the closest place they're being. So sorry for the wait. So hello everybody. I'm a little sugared up too. I mean, that's pretty like, geez, if anybody ate a piece of those, Jesus. So I know everybody's busy. Thanks for being online if you're there. Just going over last month's winners, referral agent of the month, Karen, thank you. Buyer's agent, Dean Ribble, listing agent, Kim Adams, and the overall associate of the month last month was Kim Adams. So congratulations to her. That's great. We've got several birthdays this month. Jamie coming in soon here, 24th, Monday the 24th. Very nice.
24, turn 24.
He's
I am.
24.
Yeah. And then we got a couple anniversaries. Patrick Degnan with us 8 years, and Sydney 5 or 6. I think it's 6. Yeah, it's crazy. Who would have thunk that, right? When you started as a part-timer 6 years ago.
Reluctantly.
Yeah, all good. So congratulations and thank you. It's a special, anybody that makes it's good. Well, it's like moving to Florida. Once you get past the first year, it gets better. You know what I mean? It's the first year is the most difficult with me. So that's all good. Couple things, just a quick announcement. I know Remax was in here last month going over just doing their sort of presentation on it. I thought that was very helpful, just a different twist on things that we talk about all the time. I just like seeing that they were willing to come out and do that for us, right? And Kim Adams just came in. Hey, Kim, congratulations on Associate of the Month, by the way. So you were in the waiting room, and we had just announced it. So congrats. But one thing Remax has done for anyone in the group, or if you know somebody that has sort of aspirations of growing your team in a specific location. One thing that so Remax, let me go this way. Remax is now allowing me as a owner, Michelle as a broker owner, to designate team offices, not just us, anybody in the Remax world. So in other words, if Jamie decided, hey, I want to really concentrate on South Tampa and I'm going to open an office in South Tampa, he no longer has to go and buy a $35,000 franchise to do it. He could do it under our window. There are additional fees and costs, but they're significantly less. And the time commitment's not the same. And there's no minimum agent count. Like for us, we have a minimum agent count. If we don't meet that minimum agent count, we pay the difference. It's just that simple. So this is an opportunity if somebody has aspirations to grow beyond, an agent, an associate, or, wants to try and develop a different area with a couple team members. I think it's a great opportunity that's out there now. If you want a little independence, and we can even advertise that. So in other words, again, using Jamie as my guinea pig here because he's next to me, he could be, it could be Remax Elite Realty. It has to be Remax Elite Realty, the Koharski Group or something like that. And that's the way you can do it. So I think
Who's in?
yeah, I mean, listen, it's a fantastic opportunity if somebody really wants to do it. I mean, it still has another layer of financial exposure for you as an agent if you choose to do it that way. but you could do it in a partnership with us, so you don't have all the same responsibilities and in some veins headaches. You know, so in our world, it really allows us to expand our recruiting depth if we have agents that want to do that. You know, and I would sit down with anybody that really wanted to consider that over time. So it's just want to make sure that you know that's out there, because I know like our agents get, you know, pummeled with being recruited, you know, I mean, and I know everybody thinks they have the best thing since sliced bread out there to recruit under. And, you know, look, we do it. We do it a little bit more strategically than others. I don't call every agent that has a license. And obviously, if you look at the depth of our group, anybody in our group would really fit under the criteria that I would go after personally, you know, because you've been in the business, you've got production, you would be looking to improve either your production and or your lifestyle, whatever that might be, you know, so the opportunity would clearly be there for you. But, you know, I'm just always, you know, when you get those calls, I'm always of the opinion that you should really, you got to analyze everything. I mean, if you're unhappy and you think you can improve, God bless you. You know what I mean? I've never stood in anybody's way, but you should really analyze what it is, because the carrot's not always what it seems to be. But this is an opportunity for growth for agents. The positive here is, you know, in other franchises did allow it, and RE/MAX did not allow it, but they now allow it. So it's good to know, whether it be for you or if you happen to be talking to somebody that might be looking to improve. You know, and I'll just take that opportunity to touch on real quickly something I said in the video last week. You know, we're as a business, in this type of business, you know, there's going to be attrition, right? There's going to be people that come and there's going to be people that leave. And, you know I said it tongue in cheek, but listen, the first year anybody comes on board, it's going to be an adjustment period for them, right? I could tell you, as all of you know, and I think nobody would ever question, I'm very transparent about what our vision is for our organization, right? And I don't say my organization, I say our organization, because I'm transparent about what our goals are, what our objectives are, how we choose to do business, what our expectations are in a transaction. And then, you know, then your independence takes over and you run your business, manage your business as you see fit under the umbrella of that vision, right? And as I said in that video, I'm not compromising on that. I'm not compromising on that for me, for Michelle, and I'm also not compromising on that for you, right? Because that's what I've committed to you. So if I compromise for an individual, I'm really making a mass decision for each and every one of you, right? Not going to do it, right? So you will have people that realize, you know, look, somebody leaves after a year, they realize they're in the wrong place, right? I mean, that's a fact. And, you know, part of that is, and the funny thing is, like, I just share this so you understand my psychology. Part of that is I pay attention to everything that's going on, right? 9 times out of 10, it's all good, right? But when I see something that's off, if I see somebody doing something that's off, whether it be within a transaction, maybe it's a social media post, maybe it's something, I don't make a blanket statement to the office. Why would I do that? But I do individually reach out to a person and say, hey, look, you might want to think about this, and this is why. Because in most cases, those bad things, right, those things that are questionable, really ain't going to impact me at all. But when I make those calls, it's because your individual license is at stake, right? And I don't want anybody in this office to ever come to me and say, why didn't you watch out for me? Because if I didn't make that call, whether you like the terms and conditions of that call or not, it's irrelevant to me if I have to make it. Because ultimately, if I didn't make that call and you were to get in trouble for that call, who are you going to blame? I've been on that side of the equation, right? So that's my primary objective. It's never, if anybody ever tells you that I've singled somebody out or it's bull crap, right? I could tell you that the people that I have addressed, and they have left. I mean, both of them have left recently. Okay. But the people that I reached out with the utmost of respect, and I reached out with the intention of protecting them. Now, if they don't want to change the way they're doing business and it's risky, well, guess what? I encourage them to move on. That's simple, right? And there's never any hard feelings. There's never, you have, again, you're running a business. So when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to the CEO of a company, plain and simple. If we're out on a social gathering, we're having one of our social gatherings, and we're down in where were we the other night? Holy cow, Crown and Bowl. We're down at Crown and Bowl. That's social, right? That's when I'm talking to you as an individual, and we're gathering to on the personal side of things. When we're talking business, I'm talking owner operator of an organization to the CEO of their own organization. Nothing personal about it. Zero. So there's no reason there's never any reason to be offended. There's never any look, some of those conversations are hard, right? But business people have difficult conversations all day long, right? And then honestly, and I just want everybody to be clear on this too. Whatever you do with that information, that is up to you. When I say words to really underline a statement, I don't care, right? You're all right. I don't care what you do with the information once I share it with you. That's up to you. It's your business. And as long as it's not going to impact our business, there's not going to be a follow-up. I've done my role. I've done what you've hiring me as a consultant for to do, because that's really what we are. We're Michelle and I are consultants. We're an umbrella. We're advisors. So that's where it comes in. And we hope, as I've always said, to make a difference in your world somewhere between 3 and 6 times a year. That's the reality of it. Right? And those are probably three or six very important opportunities or lessons or advice that we're giving. So that's the reality when you see ebb and flow in an organization. There's never anything to panic over. There's never anything wrong in all reality. I can honestly say over the last, I could be bold enough to say over the last 5 years, right? I've really had one agent leave that I was kind of shocked and disappointed. And we're still friends, and we talk, and chances are they might come back, right? Because they bid into and they're not on the place they moved to, right? So they bid into a bullshit line, so to speak, on how everything's going to be all rosy and cozy somewhere else. And you know what? Bottom line is, you're in business. You're just moving your business somewhere else, and you got to go do it. And that's why we're so committed to the RE/MAX frame of mind, because it is an empowering organization for an agent. The tools and the pitch that you can use, it's empowering, right? But the brand that I'm here to protect is Elite Realty. Plain and simple. There's other RE/MAX offices. I don't give a shit what they do. Don't care. Don't care how many agents they have. Don't care how much business they do. But I tell you what, whenever you're looking around at your competition, which I think is very important to do, both from my stand as a brokerage, you as an agent owner, right? There's differences in them. Yeah, they have the same tools, but there's differences in how they operate. I'll just play it right out there. Can a RE/MAX Action First offer fees that are a little bit cheaper than ours? Yeah, you know why? Because he's running a team. His money's based on a team. You're competing with the broker owner. Blatantly complete. So, there's always a reason why the model is with the model. And trust me when I tell you these things, I'm not criticizing that. I'm saying these are the things that you have to look to when you're analyzing your business, right? So I transitioned into why that's important, because this market, and this next kind of couple topics is very similar, right? This market is forcing you as an agent to analyze what you're doing and evolve. Right? And I think it's going to continue to do that over the next 12 months. I mean, I really do. And very much in a positive but competitive way. Okay? So what that means, like I've heard from the listing side, let's talk about the listing side for a minute, just in total. How you get listings, how you manage listings is completely different today than it was 6 months ago. This business was not like this in November. Right? I mean, and guess what? The business in November wasn't how it was the November before. So it's ever changing and evolving. Our job really is to try and make you aware of where those evolutions are. And then again, you manage accordingly. So my point in that is you have to understand that if you're out there trying to get listings, it's highly, highly competitive. And not only are you competing with other agents, you're competing with other agents that don't have the tools that you have, right? And now you're also competing with Zillow and other corporations like Zillow. So I think it's important, right? Not that you become like them, but you are aware of them. I'm not looking to be like Realtek. I'm not looking to be like Action First, but I'm aware of them, and I become a master at what we are. And that's what I encourage you to do, right? Now, that does not mean that you're not going to have to make a solid business decision when you're in a listing that you want, right? I've heard the term discount. I don't want to be a discount broker. Fair enough. Let's define that. I'm going to define it for me. You can define it for you. To me, a discount broker is somebody that doesn't have the tools, that just starts blabbing out there listing a house from, 0.5%. I'll list your house for 1%, right? That's what they're saying. Well, let's look at that for a minute, all right? Educate yourself. They're not taking a full listing for 1%. They're talking about the listing side of the equation. And then they're going to say to you as the potential seller, what are you willing to pay the buyer's agent? So that 1% listing becomes a 3 or a 3.5% listing, right? That's what it is. Now, a smart agent would menu sell and say, for 1%, I'm just putting you in the MLS, but they're going to set the appointments with you. I'm not negotiating with you. I'm not blah, 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 blah. Look, I've been a proponent to that for as long as I can remember. For those that have worked with me, you've heard me say, you should mix in menu selling if you want to not miss an opportunity. So I believe there's a difference between menu selling and being a discount broker. What I think is important, and sometimes it becomes murky or gray, right? I think it's important to have a difference between a listing that you take for 1% and one you get 3% on, just in case you put those two people in the same room with each other, right? But again, listen, I am of the opinion that a good sign with your name on it is 3 transactions, and today it might be more. Today that balance might be even tipped further because we have a shortage of inventory. So the buyer side opportunities become much greater, right? Because they're only calling on a finite number of properties. So like honestly, as I sit here and say it, if they were worth 3 in a normal market, could they be worth 5, 6, or 7 in this market? Yeah. Well, no question. Well, you still got to do it. Right. I'm not, but look, it's about, we go back to my 6 steps to 6 figures. Real estate's a contact sport, right? Yeah. You want contacts that you turn into prospects that you turn into customers. Well, you can't get a customer unless you get a contact. And I think it's such a great point that yes, you still got to do the hard part of finding them. No, but it's true. No. Amanda, it's a great point. I agree. Listen, you transition well into what I think, right? That I think that you guys have never had a more difficult market to work in. Never. Probably the best market in our history. Never been harder to be an agent. Plain and simple. But at the end of the day, you can't lose sight of what the basics are, right? And the basics are contacts, 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 right? So you go to the fact that, well, let's look, well, if a listing used to be worth 3 and I might get 5 contacts on it, well, now it could be worth 5 and I might get 10 or 15 contacts on it. Would I make a business decision to take a less than a full listing on a listing that I want? You wouldn't. I would say to everybody in this room, you wouldn't want me as your competition right now on listings because I wouldn't miss them. I'd have a postcard out there that says "List with me for free." I would. I'd go. You got to go and you got to get in front of them, and then you create your value, and you menu sell from there, and then you make a business decision, right? Because I might go to Jamie, he might answer my aggressive ad, and I might go to Jamie, and I might sit there and I'd be like, I can't deal with this idiot. So I'm going to tell him it's 4%. I don't want his business. I'll make that decision. I might go to Dan and say, well, this guy's a pushover. I can live with him for 60, 90 days. It's all good. I'm willing to be flexible. You make a business decision, right? Just like, look, you're in the business of selling houses. I'm in the business of trying to find the right agents for this organization and keep you guys happy and satisfied in that, right? That's my business. So I got to fine tune that and make a decision. There's agents that want to come here. I don't take them. There's agents I've invited to leave. They just didn't know I invited them to leave and they took advantage of it. It's okay, right? It's okay to make those business decisions. It doesn't devalue you or what you do for a living. Matter of fact, I think it's the opposite of that. It makes you a pretty savvy and aggressive business owner, right? So understand what you're up against. And on the buyer side, honestly, you've got to stop being apologetic. You got to stop being apologetic, right? And I've been, and please listen, I am always there. And those of you that take advantage of it, I know will testify to this. I will jump in the pool with you guys at any point in time to help you. That's what we're here for. If I could save you 2 to 4 deals a year, I've more than earned, I've more than got you a return on your investment of what you're spending to be a part of this organization. And that's what I want to do. I want to give you a return on that investment. You're right? Am I wrong? So, Jamie's got a high profile customer and he's doing it great. Customer loves him, doing a great job with the customer, right? But customers getting pretty beat up trying to buy $1 million house and not being able to do it. Think about that statement for a minute, right? It's crazy, but it's true, So, it's true. And it's in every price range. That's what's crazy. But, Jamie asked me to help out and we used some tactics to get involved, to reiterate. And I think tell me if I'm saying this wrong, right? The lesson for you was you're saying the same exact things that I'm saying, but I'm saying them just like I'm talking to you right now. I'm unapologetic.
And I feel bad having to say it.
Right.
And that's what I'm learning.
Right. But you can't, you're the pro. I use, look, you could use the analogy of when you go to a doctor, right? Jamie blew out his neck the other day, a couple weeks ago, right? Goes and gets an MRI, right? Doctor doesn't come in and go, Jamie, it's tough going here, buddy. I don't know what you could have done, but, we're going to do the best we can for you. And in 6, 7, 12 months, maybe if everything goes right, you're going to be okay. Jamie's going to be like, yeah, get me the frick out of here. I got to go find me a doctor, right? No, the doctor says, buddy, you just screwed up your neck pretty damn good. And this is what you got to do. If you want to get better, this is what you need to do, right? So ask yourself that question. How are you talking to your customers? Are you a professional that has complete confidence in the information that you're delivering?
Talk to them just like you're talking to us right now, but they don't listen.
Well, listen, well, you're North Carolina girl. What's the, or Georgia girl? What's the, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink, right?
Yeah.
Listen, that the important thing is look at, that is, you're on point today. Seriously. Look, you have to have those conversations because at the end of the day, you got to figure out who you want to work with. Because if they're not going to listen to you, are you going to be a chameleon and waste your time? Or are you going to move on to the one that you can literally help? What are you going to do? Right? But listen, don't get me wrong. It has to be an evolution. I would not suggest to you that you have that initial conversation and just because they don't bite at the apple that you kick them to the curb. Right? But if you don't have the conversation, they're never getting on board, right? So I think what you find is, and it ties into like what I used to say about everybody's worth 2 or 3 hours, right? I mean, of your time, because you can go out there, you can pitch your services and see if you can flip them into your way of thinking and see if you're getting movement. I think Jamie could attest to, by doing what we've done, we have broadened the scope of what the customer's willing to do and educated him on how aggressive he's going to have to be to do it. And some of it is consistent with every market. Some of it is unique to this market, right? What's consistent with every market that I think agents could do a better job of, that I think I've always done very honestly, but I see most agents not do? Well, search and location. I think it's one of the biggest weaknesses for realtors in general, all right, is that Karen calls me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Karen calls me and says, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Palm Harbor for $250. And I go, really, Karen? That's great. It's you and 15 other people.
Yeah.
So let's talk about why you want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Palm Harbor for $250. Why? What's the deal? And I dig, right? I think most agents take that call and go, let me do a search. Come on. You know there's no houses in Palm Harbor, 3-bedroom, 2-bath for $250. So what did you just do? You just gave somebody hope that they're never on something they're never going to accomplish. That's not, I'm not going to say to Karen, can't happen, Karen.
Mhm.
That's not what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, why? What are you trying to accomplish? Right? And then, am I going to ask Karen's permission to look in Palm Harbor, Oldsmar, Clearwater, Tarpon Spring, Safety Harbor? Am I? Are you? I don't know. I'm not.
I don't, I just do it.
Well, that's because I taught you.
I brought in the area for it.
Exactly. Exactly. You brought in the area for them. You find out what they're looking for and you expand your search.
I seem to get like people who think that they're getting those deals. Like, that's all I get. If I just looked in Palm Harbor.
You're not going to sell them
I'm
anything.
not gonna do anything.
But you will set them up on a search. I mean, I get it. That means nothing. I've said it before, dispose of that practice completely, right? But I'm going to ask Jamie now, right? Because he did this. The other night, what did you say to your buyer? You know what I'm talking about, right? When we
Yeah,
got,
going up to
okay.
the Palm Harbor house.
Yeah, what'd you say to him when you got, did you tell him you were going there before you met him?
No,
Okay, what did you do?
no, we had a showing in South Tampa, house popped up, everyone, Tony sent over and said this would be a good fit. So I didn't even give him the heads up. I went there, we showed the house in South Tampa, wasn't gonna work out. I said, come on, follow me, we're going to Palm Harbor, we gotta get in there tonight. They're accepting offers at 8:00. We have to go see this. And he followed me, you'd never even seen the listing.
And by the way, then I met them out because I did engage his customer at Jamie's request. And the guy laughed about it. He's like, yeah, Jamie pulled up the car, said, we're going to Palm Harbor now. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? I got to go to Palm Harbor. Right? But the reason he could accomplish that is because he took the time before doing that to advise, build rapport as the professional. Right? And this guy followed along. And then the customer starts asking, how do I get this house? Now, this is where you get into the unprecedented nature of this market. Excuse me. I mean, never would I think that I would be suggesting to people that are buying $1 million house and getting a mortgage that they have to go 100 grand over ask to even be considered. Never would I thought I'd be suggesting that if the ability was there, that they have to remove their appraisal portion of their finance contingency, maybe waive their inspection contingency, and maybe, just maybe, waive their finance contingency. If you would have told me I was going to suggest that back in November, I'd ask you to get me some medication because I'm completely out of my freaking mind. Now I'm telling you, if you're not talking about that, you're not selling houses. And
I
if
don't
you're,
wanna hear that.
it doesn't matter if they want to hear, look,
It's the market.
it doesn't matter. Did you want to hear you had a herniated disc? No, I didn't think so. Facts are facts.
That's a good thing you say. It's like you're going to the doctor.
It is.
You don't want to hear you have a herniated disc, but you really have one. So
Yeah.
This is the market.
Yeah, do you and you flip it in, do you want to buy a house? Do you want to buy a house? These are the things you've got to consider. Is it on every property? No. I'm not suggesting that. But I will suggest this. If you don't want to play that game, you better find houses that have been on the market 45 days or longer. Because the market's not in a frenzy over them. But you're walking into houses that are 1, 2, 3 days on the market, and by the time they're 1 day on the market, there's multiple offers. We lost out, I'm going to say we, because I felt like we tag teamed that, right? We lost out on a house that was $965 list. Nothing's ever sold in that subdivision for $965. I don't even know if it would have appraised for $965. On a $1,063,000 offer with no appraisal, okay? And lost out to a guy from California that FaceTimed the damn house. $2 contingency.
That's about it, yeah.
This is what look, you cannot win. You cannot win in anything. You cannot win in anything if you don't know what your competition's doing. You can't win. Right?
But that's a case, that's a very, very good buyer who has the capability of doing that. Not every buyer is.
No question about it, Dan. I'm not the point that look.
Still have to have the conversation.
So it goes back to what I said with Karen. I gotta drill down on Karen quickly to assess more than ever. You've got to be a pro and an advisor. The days of finding them, taking them out in a car and hoping they raise their hand. If you're an agent like that, go get a job. Seriously, for the next 5 years and come back
My
when
question to them is, what are you willing to do in this situation?
right. This is look, and to your point, Dan, I think that we have some tools that you can use, right? You could, if you've got a buyer that doesn't have the financial wherewithal to do that, then you got to look at the finance first option. I don't care if they got a pre-approval or not. You got to slam it down their throat. I don't care if you want to use Go Mortgage or not. You got to slam it down their throat, or don't work with them. Give them to somebody that will slam them down their throat and take a 35% referral. Because other than that, you're getting zero. And you had the competition about days on market, right? I mean, the conversation about days on market, right? Look, I could tell you exactly what I told this gentleman and his fiance 3 times for it to sink in, right? It took twice with him, and then we looped his fiance in. First thing is, would I recommend waiving an inspection on everybody? No, I wouldn't recommend it. But I think you can use your head, look at the age of the home, look at the seller's disclosure, look and see if it has a new roof, has a new AC, has a new windows, right? Because other than that, there's nothing to, and frankly, other than that, there's not a seller out there that's going to fix anything right now.
Right. As is.
As is as is. They're not fixing anything. You know? So you got to know that. And listen, if you're waiting to tell them that when you're doing your inspections, failure.
Yep.
That's a conversation at the time of contract or sooner. right? Because people don't know. They don't know. If you assume they know what they think they know. I think I'm a brain surgeon because I watch Grey's Anatomy. I mean, Chris, but don't give me a scalpel, right? Come on. They're surface readers. So you got to educate them up front, The appraisal thing, you got to see what kind of money they got. If they don't have the money, you got to do finance first. The finance contingency, it's strategic, but if they've been through finance first, you very possibly could get rid of the finance contingency. So there are tools if I talk to Karen and I'm educating her and all I keep telling her is no, she's not listening to me. But if I tell her I got a strategy to overcome these things that nobody else is talking about, she's going to listen. She participates or not, that's her call. And I'm okay with that. Right? Because if not, it's just going to be a failed attempt. So you look at that. I mean, another thing you can do with buyers, and look, I'm talking from one side of the equation, it bounces back to the other side of the equation. If I'm working with a buyer, maybe I go in over ask and I think, well, if I got a 5-day inspection period, once I get through the inspection period, maybe I try and get half of that back if there's some shit on the inspection. Do I like thinking like that? No, but it could be a necessary evil today. As a listing agent, you might want to know that's what's going on. So you might want to turn around and say, hey, look, I see what you're doing. Like, I just want to make perfectly clear, you're going over ask. I want proof of the money to be able to go over ask. You're asking for a 5-day inspection. I'm good with that, but please know, and I'm going to write in the terms and conditions so there's no beef about it. I am not discounting from the sale price. I have backup offers. Just so you know, I'm not playing the game. I'd rather scare you away as the seller.
Well, actually, in 2 situations I've been through, the listing agent just didn't even respond, just canceled, and then just went on to the next buyer.
Yeah.
Which happened to be me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so look, and so this goes back to being apologetic or not apologetic, right? This is just the reality of the market, guys. Right, girls, guys. It's just the reality of the market. I think that there's not an individual among us, from the newest to the most experienced, that can have these conversations. But you got to believe. Look, if you don't believe what you're selling, and this is sales 101. If you don't believe the information that you're delivering, it's never going to come across as sincere, right? So I can sit here in front of all of you, and I'm telling you with 100% certainty, whether you do this or not, strictly up to you, and it's your call. I'm not offended, but if you don't do it, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. You're going to be behind the 8 ball. Whether it be on the listing side or the buyer side, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. Right? So, I mean, these are, and that's where your wiggle room is in this marketplace. There's multiple offers on every property. People are removing contingencies, and they're going over asking price. That every buyer should be informed of that. And if they don't believe it, can't help it. You just can't help it, right? The other thing that I think is critically important with navigating this market, if you are not spending 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 3 days a week in the MLS looking at what's out there, you're doing yourself a disservice. That's the continuing education that you must have. It is absolutely unbelievably eye-opening when you do it. When I go in there, and look, Jamie's doing, just to be clear here, Jamie asked for my help because there's an opportunity here for $1 million sale. I don't look at any sale as being more important than another, right? But certainly I think he would be remiss if he has an opportunity to get assistance and he doesn't take it, right? I mean, that's kind of, that to me, that's crazy. But I went in and he's done the searches. I went in and backed up his searches. I just did my own. Did I miss something? There's some that we could bring to the equation, a different perspective on it. man, more than anything else, I was just shocked at the, up and down Pinellas County at $1 million. I mean, there's 12 houses to look at.
The prices on everything.
I mean, now let's go down to 300,000. That's a joke. And so you have to stay educated because this is going to be an evolving market. Holiday is beautiful, by the way, right? I mean, you go up into Holiday, there's some gorgeous houses for 200 to 300 grand. Oh, this time of year where the weather's changing, yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, it's sometimes the breeze off the golf. No, but you got to be willing to stretch that area, right? And you got to be educated on what's out there, because what has happened, right? And I know I've said this before. I'm going to say it again because it's a critical talking point. What has happened is we were already heading into an inventory deficit situation. Okay, we did not have enough housing for the amount of people that were buying second homes, investment properties, and migrating into this state. That was coming. All right. Then we knew that sometime in 2021, 2022, we were going to get the 20-somethings and 30-somethings that are living in apartments, just moving out of their properties with their parents, college educated, good incomes, that all of a sudden they're going, hey, I want to buy a house. Well, they don't have a house to sell, so there's no replacement inventory. That was going to magnify problem number one, right? That was already going to magnify it. Now you got the exclamation point called COVID-19. And what did COVID-19 do? Got Orange Man out, right? Because anybody that doesn't think that was part of the equation, we'll meet privately. Definitely got Orange Man out, at least until 2024. It changed the office environment completely. People are not going to go back to working in offices. So now you've got people that are relocating to Florida long-term, full-time, that are earning their living everywhere else. California's coming here in a big way. They all work out of their computers anyway. And they're blowing up our pricing.
That's been happening for a while.
Yeah.
So an agent in Nashville, and she said it's the same way over there. It's the exact same thing here.
So you got now where we used to be a destination for Canadians, and we used to be a destination for, so now, yeah, now you got California, you got Ohio, you've got New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire. Oh my gosh, they're all liberal states. They're all coming here, right? Because we did it right.
But they're making the same salary and working out of their
Correct.
house down here.
And they're making more money down here, and they're coming down here and going, this is the cheapest house I've ever seen with better taxes than I've ever seen. Screw it. I don't care.
It makes sense.
It absolutely makes sense.
And it
So-
actually makes sense to retire in Florida, and we still have people that are retiring too.
So here's the moral of that story. That's the why this is a 7-year, if not longer run like this. You got to learn how to navigate it. This is not a short-term blip on the radar, right?
So let's just say interest rates start going up. I mean, I know that still people are going to come here because it's going to be cheaper. That's kind of what,
Okay.
even if all the negative stuff starts affecting other areas, we're still in the mindset that we're going to be.
Well, the
okay.
economic outlook here is that this has now become like California was, say, 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Where it's the oasis. Everybody's coming.
Well, they're making more movies in St.
Yeah,
Louis as well.
it's the
Like, they
oasis. So
make 20
everybody's
movies there.
coming, and the pricing's just going to skyrocket, and rates aren't going to make a difference. Look, it's here's why you need to know about pricing and rates, because when you get that genius customer who knows more than you that says, hey, I'm just going to sit this out and wait it out. What are you going to wait out?
This is gonna
Well,
cost
because
you more money.
I don't believe that there's many people in our demographic that we're talking to that can outsave the pace of this market. So to your point, you're not going to be able to save enough money to outpace the increase in pricing and the increase in interest rates. Both those things are coming, and people are going to buy anyway. People bought at 8 and 9% interest. It doesn't matter. You know, who does it affect the most? Again, I educate guys. I don't mean to be hyper political, right? But the whole narrative about the $15 minimum wage is absolutely asinine. They got to raise the minimum wage because what's going to happen with inflation with these policies is the $15 an hour person is going to be lower on the totem pole than they are right now at the current minimum wage. It's a false narrative. It's the big lie, right? So you could agree with my political stance or not. I don't care. I'm just talking facts when it comes to policy, right? So it's going to cause hyperinflation. You're already seeing it. There's out there. Gas is higher. Corn's going to be higher. You know, why are you drive up and down the highway and in towns? There's help wanted signs on banners. On banners.
When I was in Homosassa, they were opening later and closing
They're still-
earlier because they didn't have.
Amanda,
enough.
there are restaurants, so you got to know this. There are restaurants and bars that are not open on Monday and Tuesday night, not because they don't have business, because they don't have personnel. That's straight from horse's mouth of restaurant owners that I'm talking to that are great clients of mine. It's absolutely off the charts. So you got it again. This is information that I think, I don't care what you believe politically. I really don't. I'll have a discussion with anybody about politics. I enjoy it. I don't mind differences of opinion. These are facts that you need to be able to talk about from a business perspective with your clients because they don't understand, because most people respectfully get their information from the ticker on Fox or the ticker on CNN or Twitter or Facebook for idiots. You know, that's where they're getting their info. They're not researching it. They got to turn to you to get it. Correct. And then they're going to Facebook to get the data, which, listen, you don't have to be a genius to understand Facebook's putting out one side of the equation. That's not information then. That's propaganda. We need, as business people, you can have whatever religious and political belief you want, but you need to have the right information, all of it. And that's what I think is critical to be able to push that data out. This is not, again, I can get into, this is not political, guys. This is what you need to know to be successful out here. Because these conversations, I'm involved on the second level of these conversations with all of you. I feel it's my job and responsibility to make sure that you can have those conversations on the first level and be confident enough to have them, that you're not second guessing. Because I know when I sit in that office, I feel like I'm on an island, right? You got to feel the same way, but you're not. And I got to remind you of that. You're not on an island. Right? We've got probably some of the best, look, we got the best group of people I could possibly imagine in this office. We're not on an island. This is the data you need to have, right? And look, you got to look at the whole, thanks, Dan. You got to look at the whole pandemic thing, right? So there's no question about it that this virus is real, was real, had an impact. To be very honest with you, other than, you know, people that were personally impacted by it, you know, if you look at its impact on Florida, economically, it was a boom, which is absolutely ridiculous because of the policies that our governor put in place. I mean, it's an economic boom. We are experiencing the upside to the way our governor managed this pandemic, plain and simple. Right? But you've got to understand that, and I say this because I don't know where everybody gets their news and their data, and you got to know this, right? So recall back when then President Trump got absolutely murdered in the media for saying, you watch, this thing's going to just go away. Does everybody remember that? I mean, yeah, he got annihilated for it. His problem was he was so unpolished. Right? But if you look at what's happening now, 4 months into this administration, 3 months into this administration, and you don't get sidelined by the rhetoric, what's happening? It's just going away. All of a sudden, you know, forget Florida. New York just said July 1st, full capacity. That's what they just said, right? It's just going away. And look, what it really is, I hate that terminology because that's not correct. The correct thing to say is we're learning how to live with the new virus. That's what we're learning, right? And that's what you got to realize too. This is the new normal, right? And I think very respectfully, you're going to come out of it. And I look, you could ask my wife. I've been as careful as anybody to the point of driving my family nuts with taking precautions with the virus. And I mean, everybody gets their own comfort zone, right? Everybody kind of, they build their own little life, truthfully, because there's places I was comfortable that my wife would be like, well, why are you comfortable here, but you're not there? Well, I don't know. I just am. But, you know, but it's true. You know, we all live in our own little worlds, you know, and they're all kind of make pretend to some extent. But the fact of the matter is we're going to move forward here now where, you know, if you choose to wear a mask, I think so. Okay. What's the difference? I mean, you know, I hope they keep making waiters and waitresses wear masks. I kind of like that. I feel a little cleaner because of it, you know, but that's just me being warped. I'm just, you know, honestly. But the fact of the matter is we're just learning to live with it now, right? And we're all going to find our comfortable place with it, and it's always going to be there. But, you know, the virus was real. The political side of it was also real. And don't be naive to think it wasn't, you know, and when you look at it, you know, the government has done a wonderful job of instilling absolute fear and confusion into people, right? They say one thing, do something else, do something, say something else, could change daily, weekly, whatever. It's just insane. So, you know, be smart, be comfortable for wherever you are with it, you know, and act accordingly. But the thing that I really want to underline is that we are now in what is possibly one of the biggest booms we've ever had in this industry. And I really want our agents, our office to be equipped, you know, with the information, with the talking points, with the, you know, the courage and the confidence to deliver that information and the tools that are there at your disposal. And that's why I know we just had that big meeting a couple of weeks ago. I felt like it's really important to get everybody in and just kind of like, at least let you hear this from, we didn't want to take up all that time the last time, but hear from this perspective and really put it under, because I can really see in many of you the, there you go. Great. Yeah. Frustration, which leads to like, you know, it's frustration that leads to breaking your confidence down, you know? And frankly, if you're, the way I always look at it, and you know, I mentioned it to Jamie when we were talking about it, because yesterday he was frustrated, right? Like, what? You tell me.
Oh, I was at my wit's end.
Right.
And just overthinking.
Who wouldn't
things.
be? $100,000 over ask, removing contingencies, and I lose the deal.
We got to talk too.
Huh?
We got to talk too.
Okay.
Yeah.
But $100,000 over and I lose the deal, right? I mean, that's frustrating, right? But like I said to Jamie, what you've got to really concentrate on as an agent is your process. Is your process sound? And you know, if you've ever been to one of my trainings or whatever, the real estate transaction is 3 separate processes in one, right? Marketing your selection, buyer or seller, marketing your selection, right? Contract and negotiation and administration. All 3 of those have a distinct value. That's how you build your value in a sale too, right? But all 3 of those have their own process. And if you're convinced that your process is right, the result will come when it's supposed to come. When this guy's sitting in Crown and Bull asking for their Wi-Fi password, writing a contract and having the guy sign electronically, the minute he said yes, which is exactly what went down, urgency. You got to have urgency. It's exactly what went down. At the end of the day, if you don't get that deal, you got to look in the mirror and say, God didn't want me to have that deal. Or whatever higher power you might, whatever you might believe in, right? I'm a faith guy. God didn't want me to have that deal. Next. But the process was right. Now, conversely, Jamie went and showed that house and said, well, I'm going home to have dinner with Liz, and I'm going to run Lily over to the hockey game, watch the first period. Then I'm going to do the offer. And, then I didn't get it. Well, then you question your process, right? Because I know you do that all the time. Though you're never going to sit there again, are you?
No.
No.
No, I'm gonna sit where Dustin is.
Yeah, I got it. Well, you got to understand, like I'm a Republican, I got to pick to the guy on my left, right? So, you just got to, you like that one, didn't you? John's out there laughing. You got to commit to a process, whatever your process is. I can help you develop a process if you don't have one. You have your talking points. And when you're fully committed to that, the chips are going to fall where they may when they're supposed to. And you're going to win more times than not. And the thing you're not going to do, and it's what I really shoot for, is you don't spend 2 or 3 hours questioning what I could have done better. Because when we analyze that from soup to nuts, there's nothing you could have done better.
No.
So, yeah, it's stupid. It's a stupid money. It's a stupid offer.
Did you have an escalation clause on that?
No, fuck.
Just put it right out there. Yeah.
Take your shot.
Yeah.
Take your to me, that's the apologetic way to do it. Because what if there's another escalation clause $1,000 over yours?
That's right.
You're just kidding yourself. Stop kidding yourselves. This is, excuse my vernacular. This is big boy shit here, right? You're running with the Bulls right now, right? Let's go. Don't be apologetic. You want to win or not? I want to win. It's that simple. Let's take our best shot. If we don't get it, let's move on. Because if not, then you're apologizing. You're like, well, what could we have done differently? Well, maybe we could have been $1,000 higher. Well, maybe I could have been 6'2" and, run a sub 440 and I would have made millions of dollars in football. I don't know. Maybe. Holy cow. Just take your best shot and, there's people taking their best shots and winning, clearly. And then you're left to go, did I talk about that with my client? Nope. Then you didn't take your best shot. If you talk about it, they don't do it. You took your best shot. As a pro, that's the goal. Going to do what the consumer wants you to do, but you've advised them accordingly, right? Just don't be apologetic about it. That's the biggest thing I could suggest. If you don't have the information, please reach out to me. I will walk you through any situation with pleasure. I love doing it. I love helping you guys, right? And girls. I love it. Nothing I'd rather do than that. That's the thing I like doing best. I like engaging the customer. But I feel like if I help you, I'm helping 30 of you instead of doing. But I had a lot of fun engaging his car. We had a lot of fun, I said to him, I walked out of Crown and Bull, and he left about 5 minutes before, and I said I wanted to high five you, and he's texting me when we lost. I'm like, I was devastated. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And then I had to figure out, what am I going to say to the customer? When you lose, that's the next part. When you lose, what do you say to the customer? Right?
You did your best shot.
Right. So he said, hey, I got great news and bad news. Great news is we won. We had the right number. We were the highest number. Unfortunately, we didn't remove those contingencies and somebody else did. And that was more important to the seller than anything else. That has 2 profound effects on your buyer next time. He feels good. You advised me to do it right. He feels good. And in this case, he's like, you got to get on the phone with my fiance and tell her how we got to remove these contingencies. Educate it, and he's making a decision. And I wasn't like, we weren't like, hey, you should remove your contingencies. I'm like, I reluctantly suggest, you might have to do this. Not like, you got to give them the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Protections though for realtors, when we're advising people to forego an inspection and they move in and something happens.
Well, what's the protect? So Dan's asking, I don't know if anybody could hear because he's off to the side there of the microphone. Protections for you as an agent if you're suggesting that. Well, first of all, and this is a great segue to a topic. So first of all, it's just like I just said, I'm not telling Jamie, hey, remove your inspection clause. I'm saying to him, Jamie, you might have to remove your inspection clause. It's up to you. You got to be aware that, look, I'd be looking at the mechanicals and you got to say to yourself, hey, look, if this house needed $20,000 or $30,000 worth of work, which is roofing, look, it's roof AC electrical, right? Plumbing. And you could, so if it's a newer house, whatever, are you willing to take that bite? Are you willing to take that risk? Because as long as you're explaining that this is the segue, they're signing a contract, right? There is no wiggle room in that contract. And the other side, right, to be clear, is not the enemy if they're holding you to the contract that you signed. So I'll give you a perfect example that ties into your point. So last night I'm talking to Jamie's buyer, and she asked this question. She said, well, what if we remove the inspection, and we're willing to remove the inspection, but in that process before we close, we want to get an inspector in there so we could be prepared for whatever it is we need to do. That was her question. So I'm going to ask you, what's your answer? And speak up so everybody can hear you.
Wow, you put me on the spot.
I did.
That's a very
Because you're a very experienced agent. I want to hear what your answer is.
First time I've ever.
It's a great question. It's a question that's legit.
I know.
I can't ask you because you already know the answer.
I don't know the answer. but I think I know.
How would you answer it? And you're on the spot. You got to have an
I
answer.
am on the spot right
Great.
now.
You don't know. What's your answer, Karen?
Do an inspection with no repairs.
Well, you still got a cancellation clause. You'd have to cancel out the cancellation
You
clause.
can't cancel the contract based on what you find.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
But if you remove your inspection periods and you are looking at the contract, when is the next time you have access to that property?
Final offer.
Right. That's it. So the correct answer is technically no. By the terms and conditions of the contract you're signing, you cannot do that. We can always ask, but the seller's not a bad person if they say no. And if I'm advising the seller, right, I'm telling the seller to say no. You never, ever, ever, in my opinion, in all my dealings in this business, talking to attorneys, working through those problems, you never change the terms and conditions of a contract once it's signed. You're just asking for trouble.
I did call Florida Legal, just to be clear.
No, I was right?
They said that, it would, because of 18L, you're not, those are two separate ideas. And the way she explained it to me was, you can't cancel because of what you find in the inspection, but the seller is supposed to allow access for appraisals, inspections,
Yes.
walkthroughs and post walkthroughs.
Yes.
So that technically, if it went to a court of law, she said, I do believe a judge would rule in the favor of the buyer.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why. Can I tell you why?
That's what
Because
she told
no,
me.
she's wrong.
But then.
I'm going to tell you why she's wrong. Because you just spelled it out. They have access for inspections. The inspection period is 0 days. So your inspections are done. You have access for appraisals. You're not doing appraisal. You don't have access. You have access for a walkthrough and a post walkthrough. What's a post walkthrough? A post walkthrough is if you walk through the walkthrough and something needed to be fixed, and now you got to come back and fix it again. You do not, just because you sell your house, give somebody unfettered access to it. She's wrong. I mean, she's right if there's an.
She was saying, but, there's a, she said it just depends how the court would rule.
Right.
Because this says this here and then this says this here. So
But again, it's
sort of
very,
a
but it's very specific.
area.
You cannot, when you're doing contract, you cannot take, I can't think of the legal way to put it. You can't just take something independently and make it work for you. You have to look at its intention in the body of the contract. So in the terms and conditions of a real estate contract. Now, to Karen's point, if you said, hey, I'm going to do 5 days worth of inspections, right? But I'm going to remove my cancellation clause, then I have to make sure Karen has access for that 5 days. I can't tell Karen, you can't get in there, right?
Right.
Now, my argument would be, right, is this is where I think you as an agent have to do a better job, right? The more money in escrow, the less likely they are to walk away. So if you see somebody, when you see somebody waiving contingencies, I'd be looking at how much of that money how much they're saying they're putting down, and I get as much of that shit in escrow as I possibly could. Because like, look, in all cases, I've worked with buyers that use those clauses to renegotiate. That's what they do. And guess what? They don't tell you they're going to do that. They don't tell you they're going to do that. And we're all nice people. Right up till I got to make a business decision.
That's my point is after they move in, everything is nice. We won, we've got the house, congratulations. They move in, all of a sudden it's riddled with termites and
You bought it as is. They signed a contract.
My realtor, but their pitch to the attorney is my realtor gave me the advice to.
Look,
You're asking for the liability that we would have.
you didn't advise them that. You advised them that they could take it out. I mean,
Realtor said this?
no.
Well, you didn't
Yeah.
say you must take it out.
You didn't say you have to take it out. You presented options on how to present your offer.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm stressing to you that the contract is the contract is the contract, right? And even if a buyer wants to, if they want to amend the contract, the time to amend the contract is during the negotiation.
Couldn't you do, if they did a zero inspection, couldn't you have them initial that? Because we did talk about this, and I want to make sure everybody's on the same.
Well, I mean, you could. I mean,
Maybe
it's
we-
What
fine.
I'm saying is-
Yeah, you could.
Have them
Because
initial it.
people forget conversations
It's in the
when it suits
contract.
them.
That's like I answer really honestly here, Dan. I don't worry about that. I look at it from a standpoint that if I'm doing everything correctly and I'm confident in what I've done and I'm documenting myself correctly, you know, then I've got nothing to worry about. I mean, look, you could look at it in your position. In your position, you can be sued for anything. You know, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you just got to make sure your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And to me, that's what, like, if you look at the way they do business in other parts of the country and you look at the way they do business here, the fact of the matter is here, we work off a contract. It's not a living, breathing document. It's not an offer to move forward. It's a contract. Those terms and conditions are black and white. That's why it's so critically important that all your I's are dotted, all your T's are crossed, all the initials are on the page, signed, it's done. You know? And again, I think I don't think it's bad to add. I think it, like, when you go through these scenarios, I don't think it's bad that a buyer asks for something, but I think it's critically important how you answer the ask, right? Just because they ask and you're in your zeal to satisfy them, that doesn't make it just okay, right? Everybody, wow, something weird going on. Yeah, I mean, so that's just what you got to be. That's what you got to be aware of.
You brought up a good point. I always have them sign that. I mean, everybody does the home inspection. But making sure
Disclosure,
that
yeah.
they definitely check off, or I check off usually, and I don't think
Opted
we're
out.
supposed to. Opted out of that.
Yeah,
I always put that in.
That's a
too.
great point.
That's,
There's your safety net.
Yeah,
yeah.
they said it.
yeah. Listen, I mean, I've had look to Amanda's point.
And then do.
I have had conversations.
files to help.
I document everything. To Amanda's point, I have had multiple, unfortunately, in my career here, I have multiple conversations with attorneys. And to her point, attorneys will never answer a question.
Politicians.
Yeah,
They never answer a question.
I never said that.
They always say, well, maybe this, maybe that, maybe the other thing. You'd get into a court and they decide. That's why, to be honest with you, you want to avoid court at all costs, because a lot of times it is gray. And her attorney has the right to have her opinion. I think she's dead wrong, right? Because for the very reason I just talked about, you cannot subtract, you can't take one line of a contract and make it to your advantage, right? And there is risk for a seller when they amend a contract unnecessarily. Doesn't make them bad people. You know, to me, that's where, you know, you want to do the, and you do, right? I mean, you do the best you can to make sure everything's spelled out ahead of time. So, this is going to be a challenge. You know, we just got to get good at it. You know, and as I said, if you feel like you're kind of waffling a little bit on what to do, how to do it, please don't hesitate. The last thing that I would touch on is just throwing it out there again. Look, if you are not, you know, it's the end of it. It's May, right? So if you haven't closed 6 to 8 units so far this year, and you're sitting there wondering why, there are lead opportunities, right? We've got floor time in Dunedin. Michelle Bowen will tell you unequivocally, we've had more leads than that business is growing again with the amount of people either walking in or calling in. And we've got some other lead-based opportunities too. But I throw that out there to the group because if this group doesn't want them, if the people in our group doesn't want them, doesn't need them, I'm going to make a decision whether to keep that office or not keep that office. I mean, you know, and or hire people specifically for that office, but I'd rather help those within first. And again, full transparent. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. I don't care. I'm just saying, I'm reiterating that the opportunity is there. If somebody wants it, please reach out to me. Because there is opportunities there, and we're converting them. Agents are converting them. Are they? Look, again, contacts, right? This does not mean that, you know, they're going to walk in, flop down, say, hey, I want, although some of them are saying that and there's nothing to sell them. There's some work there to be done. There's some nurture there to be done, but there's deals to be had out of there. But it can't be like an accidental commitment. You know, it's a business. It's a business. And I'd also throw out there to everybody, I think we have 2 available offices here, and just remind everybody of the workspace in the office. You know, 2. Yeah. But thanks. If you're not getting the results you want, change what you're doing a little bit. Don't do massive change. But analyze what you're doing. Do you need to get out of your bubble? Do you need to just set that trigger, you know, get dressed, go to the office for an hour, make some phone calls? Dunedin, you could do 1 day a week and just make that your follow-up day. There's so many ways to integrate these opportunities into an otherwise boring day, right? You could. And I know the argument, ladies and gentlemen. I know the argument. Well, what if? That's such a bad argument. Well, just be careful. Just we commit to our days. We commit. You're running a business. Commit to whatever it is you're doing. I do it all the time. Somebody wanted me to do something this morning. I've got a meeting. Let's do it tomorrow morning. Okay. You're a pro. You know, don't take it. Act like one. Right? Be committed to your business, whatever that might be. You know, if you say you're off at 5 o'clock on Friday, great. Be off at 5 o'clock on Friday. Don't bitch about the call that came in at 7 that you had to take. You didn't have to take it. Right? I am a firm believer in that. And they're kind of like wackadoodle examples, right? But you know, work your schedule. You know, I don't know when a lead's going to hit. I don't know when an opportunity is going to rise. I don't know. You know, But I'll tell you this, right? And I see things that if you're not ready to take a lead, which sometimes you're not. I see people walk into this office all the time. They're not dressed for work. They think they are. They're not. Right? Work your schedule. Be ready to work. Be ready to say hello to somebody like a damn pro all the time when you're working. And then when you're off, do whatever you want to do. You look at the people that consistently do business. And I'm not trying to be offensive here. I'm saying you have to analyze, you got to learn from the people you can learn from, right? Associate of the month, Kim Adams. I never see her not dressed for work. Never. I can't tell you. Never have I seen her walk in here. If she's walking in, right? I know you're this. Look, she's on video. She's dressed for work. She's sitting in her house dressed for work, right? She's ready. You got your name tag on her now? You do. She does. She's got her damn name tag on. She's always ready. Dean Ribble, in here every day, ready to go. Ready to go. 7:30, boom, ready to go. Well, but not. He's always got his whole clothes hanging right there. You know, he's right there. You know, always ready to go. You just got to look at, you got to, if you're not getting the results you want, you got to change something. That's the purest definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and then going, man, I don't know why I'm not getting a different result. Change something. There's opportunities right here under your nose. Change little things. You know, I'm not even in a remotely saying, hey, if you didn't sell, I don't care. Again, your business is your business is your business. I am very respectful of it. But if I don't point out these things, then I'm not doing my business, right? So if you look at, you should look at it on a monthly basis. You should have goals. You should look at it on a monthly basis. Did you get your results? You should look at it on a weekly basis. You should look at it on a daily basis. And if you're not getting what the result, if you're happy with your result, don't change anything, right? Jerry Hills, I could talk to Jerry Hills till I am blue in the face. Jerry Hills is never going to change anything. He's happy. And I'm happy for him being happy. Honestly, I mean that, right? But I know there's some of you that are frustrated. I hear it when I talk to you. I see it in your faces when I see you momentarily. All I'm suggesting is please tap the resources that are available. Look at some of these opportunities that are available. You know, there's nobody here saying, hey, I'm the first to tell you shouldn't be working 40 hours a week. I mean, that's just me. You know, I don't believe you should in our world. I think you can work a hell of a 25 or 30-hour a week schedule and do really, really well. That's the beauty of our business, right? But if you're struggling, you need answers, you're looking for opportunities, please, my message here is please reach out. Please reach out. Please talk to me. You're not on an island. And if you don't want to do anything that I suggest, I'm not going to have my feelings hurt. I'm not going to think less of you. I hope you don't think less of me if you don't like my suggestions. I mean, it's just a mutually beneficial engagement if that's going on. I think some of you have taken advantage of it, but I just want to make sure everybody knows it. And we get through. Look, let's take advantage of this opportunity. You know, so I've been rambling now for an hour and 15 minutes. I think I covered everything that I really wanted to cover. The one note, yeah, and I'm gonna put this in my words. Yeah. So, you know, I know several people have been, whether it be Alliance and or other title companies, really questioning timing on things, right? Why it's taken so long, this, that, and the other thing, right? Well, there's a couple things, and I talked about this with Michelle this morning, because I said, like, I don't understand it. I used to go to a closing and sit there for 4 hours and wait for my money. That's what I did, right? Well, it's changed, right? And I'm even naive to it. You know, most closings are happening remotely, right? Most closings, the parties are never together, right? So if they go to the title company together, that's where you're going to, if they go to the title company location, whatever title company location, that's going to be the most efficient closing, right? Everybody's there, all documents are signed. As soon as that's done, title company shoots the paperwork back over to the lender. Depending on the day of the week, the lender either reviews it in 10 minutes or an hour, and they disperse funds, right? That's the most efficient closing. Once you get beyond that, all hell breaks loose. If Diana's coming up here to do a closing, if it's a remote closer going to do a closing, that remote closer might be going to 5 closings before she's going back to the title company. That remote closer may not even be going back to the title company. They might be overnighting the documents to the title company. So once you get beyond a traditional closing, all bets are off on timelines. You can investigate what the story is, but the reality is, so you got to make sure your client knows that, right? That's the reality. You got to educate your client on that. And I don't rely, I've said this to many of you. I don't rely on anybody else to describe what's going to take place in a transaction. Because I got news for you. I've been in this business long enough. If there's a mortgage in a transaction and it goes south, I don't care if the realtor dropped the ball, the title company dropped the ball, the survey company dropped the ball, it's the lender's fault. Just a fact. Doesn't matter, right? And I can tell you when the seller or the buyer doesn't get their money, it's your fault. It's your fault. Yes.
I say amen, because I have very good friends from England that I sold a house to. We closed February 26th. Diana did it here, and the couple had sold their house in Dunedin and had to move in that day. So I read in the contract, the funds should be dispersed at closing. They can give the keys at closing. Well, my seller has a very nosy neighbor, and he called my seller in Guernsey, England. Do you know they're moving in now? Wait a minute. Tell Eleanor not to give them the keys. I read the contract that said at the closing, the seller, the keys should be given. I actually called Clark, and they said, you really shouldn't have done that.
Well, I would reiterate that if the title company has the EFT receipts, I think that you can wiggle on that a little bit because they said, but Diana brings up good points. For example, when you do wire transfers, right, depending on when you're doing them, they could be shorter or longer because, if you do them, I think it's on the 30th of the month, that's not only a heavy closing day, right, for the real estate, it's also when government employees get paid. They get paid via wire transfer and EFTs. It clogs up the system, right? If you do it after 3 o'clock, it's going to be delayed, right?
And they all go through the system, which is
Well, it's the government.
government.
Yeah. There's an anti-fraud, anti-terrorism part of electronic funds transfer, right? So I hate to tell you, but if you got, like Diana uses an example, customer's name is Gonzalez. Well, there's a bunch of Gonzalez's on the terror watch list or the drug trafficking list. It's not our fault, but that name's got to get cleared. The larger the sum of money being transferred, the more magnified it is. So it's not like Star Trek. You're not stepping into the transporter room and the money's right there is the moral of the story.
She told me that she's gonna call the police and have the people with the keys evicted. And here, they're moving into the house. And I said, I told you, they have to go to the Federal Reserve. And Diana assured me that we closed that day. Well, at 10 o'clock at night in Guernsey, England, they got a Bank of America confirmation. That was that day, but they said, Eleanor, you didn't represent us.
Yeah, you get some wackadoodles, Eleanor, for some reason. I mean, I think that the lesson that you have to take from that, and it kind of underlines what I talk about, right? Your message has to be succinct. I'm going to use your example, not as a methodology to like pick on you, right? But when I hear you say I went back and read the contract, right? Honestly, it should not be a necessary step, right? If you don't know what the message is, like there's going to be items that come up occasionally that you're not aware of that we got to investigate together. But when it comes to something like this is something, this is why we're having this conversation. You got to be versed in it. And you know, if your customer in England gives you a hard time, if it's my customer in England, I said, well, then you should have got on a damn plane and sat at the closing table. You could have had your money first thing. You chose to have it wired. That's my answer, right? My goal is to satisfy everybody, understanding that's an unattainable goal. What's attainable is 100% advisory role to a potential client, and you don't change your answer because they don't like what you're saying.
I also think the title company, when they send the package, let them know it has to go through Federal Reserve, it may not be there, sometimes it's a Friday, not a Monday. Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
But again, I go back to the theory, right? That I agree with you 1,000%. Okay.
So you're still supposed to give them the keys if they're.
Well, I think it's
Monday?
got to be discussed, right? I mean, my thing is this: if the title company,
That's another great.
well, hold on, Amanda, hold on. Does the title company have all the money? That's my question. Does the title company have all the money? If the title company has all the money, then the people should get the keys, because the title company is going to disperse the money. Now,
Okay.
if Dan Byer comes in on a Friday afternoon for his closing at 4 o'clock, but for whatever reason, he didn't wire his money until 3:55 on Friday, and the title company hasn't received that money. Now we're getting into a little bit of a gray area where everybody's going to have to make a decision, right? And then, well, where could be the gray area? Well, maybe Dan's only putting $5,000 down. He only owed $5,000 and the commission's 15. All right, we'll hold the commission till you get the money. There's ways to wiggle, but I think at the end of the day, if the title company has the money, the title company is representative of the parties, and the title company's got to disperse the money. At that point, you can't keep the keys from Dan. He has performed his duties under the terms and conditions of the contract.
Because that's
Tony Farr said, you shouldn't have let them.
I don't think FAR had the right information.
Well, I spoke to an attorney there.
I don't think they had the right information. If the title company has the money, the buyer has performed. Period, paragraph.
But she wanted to see it.
That's her problem. It's not the buyer's problem.
They were gonna call the police, have these.
They could call whoever they want, and then they could get a lawsuit against them. This is what I'm saying. Like I use this as an example. We could answer it one or two ways, right? We could be, as Eleanor is right now, apologetically trying to explain this, or we could be me going, look, get over it. The buyer performed. Call the cops, and now you're liable. Do what you want. That's where you got to be. You don't go to the doctor when you need surgery and him apologizing because you need surgery. You don't do it. You're the pro.
I am getting worse and worse as this meeting goes on. Now I need surgery.
Well, you told me you
falling
might.
apart.
No. But you know what I mean? You can't change the facts. If the money's in-house, the money's in-house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be bad news. But if the money's in-house, it's in-house. Everybody performed. It's at that point, what if the seller didn't want to wire? What if the seller wanted it overnighted to them? Does the buyer have to wait till the seller gets their money? No. It's not even to me, that's completely illogical. If the money's in-house, the money's in-house. I'm gonna dumb this down a little bit more, right? You write a contract that says escrow money due now, made out to ABC Title. Okay? It's 7 o'clock at night on a Friday night. Can you take that check to ABC Title? I mean, literally, can ABC Title receive that check? How about that? No. But you've got the check. Is the contract valid?
Well, yeah, 'cause but you.
Yes,
have
yeah,
dispersed it
you don't even have to, you don't, yes, it's simple, right? Like,
I see what you're saying,
yes, the contract's valid. They gave you the money.
because I have had clients drop it off after 5 o'clock
Right.
on the third day.
Right.
due.
I got the money. They made it.
Fair.
If it's just like if you are communicated to, if you read the contract, if you are communicated to on behalf of your client, it is considered that they are communicated to, whether you did it or not.
Mhm.
You're their representative. It's the same
I
thing.
heard something different in a contract class. So crazy.
Oh, God.
Everybody has like, they're like, I don't know.
Paul put
So-
me up against any one of those classes. I've been down that pike a little bit here, so not to be, I'm not
That
trying to
was
be
before I
arrogant,
started
but
working here, but it was, they were doing a contract.
yeah, I mean, look, again, I think you were on the phone, so I reiterate, everybody could have a different interpretation. When you talk to attorneys, I find it very rare that they even give you an opinion. They give you an opinion, they don't give you an answer. They give you an opinion, they don't give you an answer. They will never,
They gave me a yin and yang.
yeah,
on
they
both
never, they
sides.
got no nuts. They got nothing. They will not answer the question, right? So there's got to become a point in time. Yeah, that's true. And that's what the legal system thrives on. The legal system thrives on, I've got an opinion and you got an opinion. We don't agree. We sue each other. Now we're asking for an arbitrator just to make a different opinion, right? I pretty much dwell in the black and white area. I think it's pretty black and white on a lot of these. And if it's not, then we talk about that. But in the case of title, wires, it goes back to this. If you're waiting till closing to explain this bullshit part of the transaction to the buyer and seller, you waited too long, right? You got to have the conversation prior to closing. Look, I think the title company should be doing it,
I
Well,
do too. I think
but they don't.
They should do it when they're sending them the paper.
But they don't. That's what I'm saying. And ultimately, you're going to get blamed.
Don't expect it to happen.
Right. Expect no one else who,
Right.
look, I go back to this point.
That's a perfect, New York is like that.
Oh, yeah, go sell a house up in New York. They'll take 90 to 120 days because you're waiting for an attorney to write, they write it.
Attorney.
My uncles, my
Your
wife's
potential
uncles,
closing date is
they're
this,
morons.
but expect, you know,
Right.
they're flat out morons. They are. They're educated morons. Fact of the matter is, look, you got to know, look, if you look at the closing statement, who makes the most money in the transaction? Let's get right down to nut cutting.
You do.
Right. Stop letting hourly employees make you look bad. That's the way I look at it. But again, deliver the message with conviction.
Mhm.
And if there's a question, get the question answered ahead of time. Right? If you don't know, it's okay not to know. I think it's one of the biggest misnomers that realtors have. They get paralyzed by not knowing. I don't know everything. If I find out, I'll get the answer. I'm the first one to say, hey, look, I don't know. I'll find out. I can only know what I know. I don't know what I don't know. Right?
You know, I've had a few closings since then, that just happened in February. I'm almost at the point of saying to the buyer, I'd like you to move in the day after.
Can't do it, Eleanor. You can't change state law.
They get the key at closing.
It's state law.
Really?
Yeah, it's own and possession.
Because I had another situation and the same thing. I got a couple of siblings were in California. I wrote both daughters and said, I just want you to know that there's going to be a wire transfer from Ohio and the couple want to move in that day. The money will be wired and, I just want you to know that she may not have it in her bank account until that night. And she understood, but I'm at the point, every time I.
Well, I'll give you a different way to present it.
Yeah.
Maybe this will help you. The buyer's responsibility is to get the money to the title company. It's not the buyer's responsibility to get the money to the seller. The seller picks the title company. That's all you need to say.
basically, if the money, if the
That's
company
right.
has the money and they just can't
Right.
disperse, the buyer can still get the keys.
Say again?
So basically, if the buyer wires the money and the title company shows that the money is in there, but they just can't disperse.
I am a man that tries, although I could talk my ass off, when I'm talking to a potential client, I am a man of very few words. Okay? The buyer's responsibility is to get the money to the title company. It's the title company's responsibility to get it to you.
Mhm.
Why am I getting into wire, EFT, receipts, this, that, the other thing, where I may or may not trip over it? The buyer's responsibility is to get the money to the title company's responsibility to get it to you. If the buyer has all their funds at the title company, they have performed. Period. I don't like that. Great. Write a letter to your congressman.
And I typically tell my buyer, get it in the day before, because the wire.
Yeah, well, that's a great point, Karen, because sometimes if there's a last minute closing, they may not know their wire too much and the title company will give you change.
Mhm.
Done that many times.
Right. Buyer's responsibility, get it to the title company.
Right.
Title company disperses funds. Period. It alleviates all conversation. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Great. I'm glad you don't like it. Here's great news for you. Do you own any other properties in the state of Florida? No, I do not. I'm selling my last one. You never have to deal with it again because this is the state of Florida. Seriously, this is how you, like, if people are going to speak to you like that, you have to speak to them like that too, because it's what they understand. You don't beat a bully by reasoning with them. You beat a bully by cheating in an election, right? You gotta match it. That's how you do it, right? It's not fair to fair, right? So yeah, so I do like that. That's good. I slipped that. No, bully to bully, you got to fight. If they're gonna hit, if a bully is stronger than you, straight, you got to punch him in the back of the head. It's that simple, right? You like that one? I mean, you like that? It's just. What I find is that it's a perfect example of what I'm talking. You all want to make it. You just want to make it pretty and nice and feel good. And facts are facts. They don't always feel good.
It's business.
It's business. You're the CEO of a company.
Just like police officers, they have to have the evidence.
If your hands ain't on the wheel, they're going to tase your ass. And they should, because maybe you got a gun. Doesn't make any sense, right? This kumbaya bullshit's not real. Stop watching it. It's business. This is business. It doesn't mean, I am not in any way suggesting that you need to be rude, unprofessional, any of that. I'm suggesting the opposite. You got to be the ultimate professional with the ultimate knowledge, which you then deliver in a confident, succinct, understandable, unarguable manner. And I use this as a perfect example. When Amanda sits there and says, well, the attorney says this, right? Great, I appreciate it. I think the attorney's wrong. Now what? Now, what do you, honestly, what can Amanda say to me at that point? Right? I'm not being rude to Amanda. I appreciate.
That's how people go to court.
Right.
She presented a spin on it one way from the buyer and a spin on it the other way from the seller.
Right.
And she offered her.
Right. I'm not, and it's not the messenger. I am not mad at Amanda, right? At all. Matter of fact, I commend Amanda for going the extra mile. That's fantastic. That's what we want to do.
I just want to understand it because I really still don't get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I think we're going to go over contracts. I mean, we do it today. Well, this is going longer than I thought. We can move contracts to Monday and go over that accordingly. Look, I think that the contract, like the Constitution, is not a living, breathing document that could be amended based on the way you think it is that day and that fits your narrative. I don't believe that's the case. I believe it's written for a purpose. We go with the purpose. If you want to amend it, you do it through negotiation. That's what you do, right? But you got to do that before there's ink, before the ink dries, right? I don't know that if anybody argues with that point or not. But once once you got an effective contract, you got an effective contract. And like to Amanda's point, once you got an effective contract, if you have a difference of opinion, you're either going to find a way to find a middle ground based on that difference of opinion, or you could go to court. I would say that arguably more times than not, you're going to find some kind of solution for the middle ground. But I do think it's important that on either side of the equation when you have those arguments, that you're not vilifying the other side. I've seen people do that. I've seen people do that in this office unintentionally. Oh, the seller's being such a pain in the ass. Well, whether they are or they're not, that's not smart. That's not smart negotiating. That's flat out not smart negotiating, right? When Dustin turns around, that's just Tony being Tony. That's not smart, because I'm not just being Tony. There's a reason for everything I do. It's strategic. It's pointed. There's a purpose behind it. It's not me just being me. Me being me is going to beat my buddies on a golf course, right? So don't vilify the other party because they're different than you. Find a way to communicate that positively. Hey, Dave, you just got beat out because a moron fucking from California beat you. Dave's going to feel like shit. Excuse my language. Right? But if I say to Dave, look, you did a great job on this offer. Man, this guy took some risks. I don't really want you to take those risks. And then Dave says, how do I take those risks? Same message. Same message. Completely different result. Don't vilify the other side. They've got, they have a right, this is the point, right? If you really simplify it, everybody has a right to their opinion and their position. They do. I don't have to agree with it, right? I'm more than willing to state my stance on why I feel the way I do. But if you don't agree with me, Karen, I don't think less of you. I swear to God, I don't. It's all good. That's what makes us fun.
One other question, this is a different subject. Many sellers are asking for 5 days for inspection.
Yeah.
I have a very difficult buyer, and she said, that is too short.
Well, then I would tell your buyer, you're probably not going to buy a house until 2028.
A lot of them are waiving
This
it.
That's-
property. Do you
yeah.
want this property? If you do, we're gonna have.
Yeah, I mean, that's just part of, look, again, it's very succinctly, I understand. I don't disagree. It is short. It's very short. I agree with you 100%. But yeah, it's exactly right. Laura asked me last night, what's normal inspection periods? I said, well, Laura, if you would have asked me that in December, I would have told you 10 days.
Right.
Today, I'm telling you 3 to 5. And I don't think it's fair, but that's what it is. If you want to be in the game, that's what you got to do.
And some are going zero.
And some.
And some are going zero, meaning they're not inspecting. Again, it doesn't matter. I mean, and that's what I say, right? I mean, there's probably people buying houses without an inspection. I understand completely why that would make you anxious. I'm not even saying that you shouldn't be anxious. I'm just saying if you want to buy the house, get over it.
Or look at houses that are 40.
Or go 45, 50, 60 days old.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's all you could do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's so like to Eleanor's point, look, there's probably many people like you within our organization, been doing this for a long time, that are uncomfortable with how we have to message stuff today. That was 100% the reason we're having this meeting. 100%. Because I am here to say to you en masse that I understand why you would be uncomfortable. I am here to say to you, I understand why this is completely different than anything we've done. But I'm also here to say to you that you need to step away from this meeting and as a group, as individuals, embrace what I'm talking about, because I'm not, this isn't me just bloviating. This is me really trying to help our group en masse be positioned to be the best in the industry on how to navigate this. And again, a buyer like that may not want to acquiesce to that demand, and we can continue to make offers with
Refer them to a different area.
but you're not going to be able to win, right. You're just, I have to tell you, you're probably not going to win unless you do this.
I mean,
And that way you don't blame me.
We're losing a lot of buyers to like Fort Myers and down that way.
Yeah.
A lot of people are selling and going and buying there or going.
Hold on, I'm going to ask Kristen a question. Kristen, where did you just sell a house at?
Lutz,
Kristen. No, not Kirsten, Kristen.
Lutz,
No, that one you drove down. Didn't you drive down to like somewhere down
Englewood.
south?
yeah, Venice,
Venice.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's. right.
So, that's the, thank you. That's the other, that's a business decision, right? And I'm gonna, just because of volume, she's like, man, I had a conversation with Kristen about, she's like, oh man, should I do this? Couple hour drive, blah, blah, blah. I think it was a couple $100,000 house or whatever. And she wasn't going to do it. She was going to refer it, but she had nothing else on her plate that day. She drove down there. She sells a nice house and finds out that like 4 family members are probably going to buy houses down there. So yeah, look, I guess that's the whole theory behind MFR, right? The whole theory behind MFR was to give us a more global outreach as an independent agent on where we're going to go sell. And yeah, maybe 80% of your sales are going to be in Pinellas and West Hillsborough County. But you got to make a decision. You got somebody who wants to buy $1 million house over in West Palm. What a nice time for visiting West Palm. You may not even have to wear a mask anymore. I don't know. I mean, who knows?
I got family over there. I go there.
There you go. You make business decisions or you refer it out.
I sold in Lakewood Ranch.
There you go. Yeah.
I just closed on one yesterday.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's to me, that's the exciting part about being on the real estate sales side of things right now. Our world has expanded tremendously. So how you navigate it and manage it is strictly up to you. Doesn't mean that I would drive to Brandon with somebody, because I don't know Brandon. I don't know. You got to make a really good, intelligent business decision there. But look, for $1 million, I might learn a market. For 500,000, I might learn a market. Yeah, I do an ROI, right? If my potential commission's 15 grand, am I willing to go spend 10 hours doing it? 1,500 an hour in, right? In, if I'm looking at I don't think less of them, right? But if I'm looking at a $250,000 house and I got to invest 10 hours to go down south in an area I don't know, and my potential commission is, $5 grand and I'm not even sure, am I going to do that one? Maybe not. Maybe that one I do a referral on. But the good news is, years ago, we didn't have that option. We would have just had to refer it. It's a great time to be in your shoes.
I'd say that 250 turns into 5 deals.
You got to make a decision. But that goes back to, look at how this all closes up. That goes back to that initial conversation I had with my buyer to try and figure out where the value is, where the mutual benefit is. This is not a one-way street. I am here to help you achieve your goals, right? And in return, I'm going to get a return on my investment of time. That's what the game is. That's simply what the game is. So I really got nothing else. We went way longer than I thought, but I think we hit pretty significant topic that we're dealing with. I hope you all agree. I'm not here to waste your time at all. So again, I just reiterate, if anybody needs help, call me. If it's all right with Kristen and Kirsten, we went over a bunch of stuff. I know you guys wanted to do the contract class. We could move that to either tomorrow or Monday, whichever works better, just because of the amount of time we spent. Is that all right with you guys?
That sounds good.
I think
Yeah,
I got
either one works for me.
Okay, perfect. We'll figure it out. I'll touch base with both of you independently, okay?
And those
Okay,
guys
thank
that are
you.
Waiting for next year are gonna be the shoulda, coulda.
Yeah, Dan makes a good point. What about the buyer that says they're waiting till next year? Well, you just got to tell them it's going to cost more, it's just going to cost more money. And unless they're a significant wage earner, they're not going to outsave the market. We're in a 5, 7, 10% appreciation right here. So take your price, appreciate it by 10%, and then figure somewhere between 0.5 and a point more in interest rate if they're getting a mortgage. That there's nothing away. And by the way, or you can afford the same house because the interest rate went up, so now you're looking at less house.
Now you can't afford a house.
Well, now you're looking at less. You're not getting the same quality house.
You can't find a house for that.
Yeah.
price anymore.
Hey, I'll just close on this one thing again. We touched on it, and I want Dustin to just reiterate this. Dustin came to me saying he wants to go back to sales. I did not go to Dustin and say, hey, it's time for you to go back to sales. I mean, there has been times where we've done that in our relationship.
Past that.
No, yeah, we're good. But he's made a decision, and the good news is Michelle Bowen, I think everything happens for a reason. Michelle was doing a great job down in Dunedin for us. I think she's going to be fantastic in the position. She's really she's in a little bit of a sprint to get knowledge right now over the next few weeks. And I am sure after that transition, there's going to be some speed bumps and there's going to be an evolution of the position. I mean, but that's all good. That's growth. You know, we're going to be here to support Dustin and everything he does. And we look forward to Michelle jumping into that new role. And
Even involved in the 5-year budget.
yeah, no question about it. It's business, guys, just like I hope you're evolving, right? So listen, I've evolved. I've completely evolved. So, you know, and all for the good. Just ask me. What? We're working on that. Yeah, Jamie's taking it over. So listen, we appreciate each and every one of you tremendously. Whether you're watching it live, watching it tape, thank you for the investment in time. You are greatly appreciated by Michelle and myself. And we look forward to just continued success throughout the rest of this year. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.